If you have been alive on this planet for more than 10 minutes in your life, then you are no stranger to the need for forgiveness. We live in a broken world filled with broken people who break things. And the question that we have to ask ourselves is, what do we do when the thing that is broken is the relationship? What does forgiveness actually look like? Does it mean that I allow them to continue to come back into my life, or does it look a little bit different? Today we're going to be discussing the three secrets to forgiveness that no one ever taught you. So before we begin, my name is Mariah. I'm a certified Christian mental health coach, and I have my own personal experience with emotions and wanting to figure out what forgiveness is, what that means. And so today we're going to be talking about that from a overarching picture, and I just want you to know that from my point of view, my perspective, I want to be able to offer you healing for your emotional and spiritual needs from a whole body perspective, not discounting what you have gone through, but having an overall picture so that way you can grow into the joy that God has before you. So if you have never encountered me before, you might be surprised to know that I was in a no contact relationship with my dad for almost 4 years before he died. And that was a really hard situation for me. And no contact means just that. No contact. I didn't talk to him. He didn't text me. There was no connection between that time frame. And during that time, I had to learn what it meant to forgive. Was what I was doing unforgiving, or was there something more to it? And so we're going to begin today by discussing what is forgiveness. And we're going to also be covering what forgiveness is not and what forgiveness is. So let's start with forgiveness in general. What is forgiveness? Forgiveness is a choice to erase the debt that someone owes you. For those who are in debt today, and by the way, there are 340 million people in debt today, so I think you can understand that. We know what it's like to owe someone money. We've also loaned people money. There are those people in your life that said, hey, I need $5. Hey, I need $10. Hey, I need $1,000. Can I borrow that from you and pay you back? And so we understand that when we want to cancel out someone's debt, it means that they no longer owe us the money anymore. We will eat the cost of that. So if I gave someone $1,000 and they said, I don't know how I'm going to pay you back, it is things are tight, and I just say, you know what? I'll take care of that. Don't worry. You do not have to pay me back. I did not get back my $1,000. I ate the cost of that. But when it comes to relationships, we have this tendency to confuse that understanding, where when someone does something to us, our understanding of forgiveness is that they need to be able to come back into our lives, and we need to be able to start from square one. And while there is some truth to that, I want to really offer the perspective of finance, because I think that can help us understand the pain and the hurt that we go through, and validates it, and also helps us understand why people, why we don't want to continue things with people, why that's not a bad thing. To forgive someone means to release that debt, to let it go. But it does not necessarily mean that I have to let you come back again and give you more money again. So we'll discuss that a little bit more. So secret number 1, you do not have to feel like forgiving to forgive. Forgiveness is a conscious choice, just like love. I think in this day and age, we really think that love is an emotion. And so we think the same thing when it comes to forgiveness. But the reality is, love is a choice. Forgiveness is a choice. And we have the ability to choose, even if we don't feel like it, to not let that, what they did to us, the pain, the hurt, the heartache, we release them from owing us anything. Now, That's easier said than done, and it is definitely a process which we're going to get into. But I just want to remind you that forgiveness is a choice. Forgiveness is something you have to do sometimes on a daily basis. When those feelings come up, when you feel like you're going to be in a grudge against someone, like you're resentful towards them, you're hurt, you're bitter, you're angry. Forgiveness is a choice to release the actions of what they did against you. Now, this is going to go into secret number 2, which is forgiveness is a journey, not a destination. The part about being human is that we are going to experience hurtful things time and time and time and time again. And every single time that happens, we need to be able to release that. We need to be able to let that go. Not in a way that doesn't hold someone accountable, but in a way that doesn't keep hurting our hearts. And if we are not careful, we will end up becoming bitter. And that bitterness is not going to hurt them. It's going to hurt us, and it's going to hurt the people around us that we love and actually care about. And so I just want to encourage you that if you are going through something and you're like, I thought I already forgave that person, that's okay. You forgive them again, and you forgive them again, and you forgive them again and again. That's why Jesus said to forgive someone 70 times 7, meaning that there's just this infinite number of times where you're going to have a moment that you need to examine and say, okay, I'm feeling a certain way, and I'm realizing I'm still holding some unforgiveness here, and learning to be able to release that and say, okay, God, I want to forgive them. I'm letting go of what they owe me, because they owe you. And I want to sit there in a few minutes about the fact that people do owe you. There is a validity to feeling like the hurt and the pain that you feel. You're not just dismissing it when you say that you're forgiving them. And so that's going to go into secret number 3, which is not every forgiveness means that you will get back together. So we're going to go back to the money example. And depending on the level of the relationship and the level of the trust that is broken is going to depend on whether or not that relationship can be restored to what it was prior. So for example, let's say I have a best friend and I own her $10. And she forgot to pay me in a timely manner. She's like, oh my gosh, Mariah, I completely forgot. Like, I'm going to get you back the money. I'm so sorry. And like, I needed that money for something. So it's $10. You know, she's my best friend. Like, all right, it's $10. Depending on how you feel about it, like, it's $10 and then that's okay. Like, we can try again. Maybe I won't like give her $10 again if that's really important to me, but she's my best friend, so we're gonna keep trying. But then let's look at my best friend again, right? They come asking for $1,000, $10,000. That's a lot of money. That's a big thing. That's a big trust. It's like holding like a big personal secret that you don't want to be broken. And they break it. They take that from you. They do not pay you back at all whatsoever, and they just leave you high and dry. Do I have the right to refuse to give them money again? Yes, I do. I do not have to give someone money who has shown themselves to be irresponsible. And that's the same thing with relationships. We do not have to give the deep parts of ourselves to people who show themselves to be irresponsible. And unfortunately, when people decide to be inappropriate, they are now showing their true colors, and they are put into a different category. So that person who was my best friend, you're not my best friend anymore, because that's not what a best friend would do. And that's painful and that's hard, but just because you say, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, okay, well, I can forgive you, but you have to feel the consequences of your actions. I cannot stop the fact that what you did was wrong. And I think that the challenging part about being a Christian is that God so graciously, above and beyond, forgave us and allowed us into his family. But what we have to remember and understand is that he is God and he is able to navigate when we are showing harmful behavior. When we want forgiveness, but our behavior is still toxic. And that's where God takes us and changes us and allows us to become more like him. But then we take that and then we equate that with human beings. And the problem is, I am just as broken as the next person. I am not God. I do not always have the ability to take in someone who is toxic, who has decided that they don't want to have a good and thriving relationship, who does not want to be someone who's trustworthy. And so when we forgive, it requires us to be vulnerable. It requires us to trust. And when people don't prove that they are able to be trustworthy, then unfortunately, regardless of the type of relationship, whether it's your father, whether it's your friend, whether it's a spouse, there are some consequences that cannot be ignored. And so hopefully today this will be just a starting point for you on when you're navigating forgiveness, what that looks like in your life, how to deal with the nuance of it, because it really does depend on the end of the day, the type of relationship that you have with that person and the type of trust that was broken. And so I hope that this is an encouragement to you that it is okay to release someone from their debt, but it's not okay for them to come back into your lives. It's okay if there's some separation there, even if it's just for a short time. So let me know what you think. Make sure to click the like, subscribe, and the bell button so that way you can stay updated with what I have happening here, and that if you have more questions about, do I forgive this person? Do I allow them back into my life? I wrote a free guide for you, so I'm going to put that in the link. And I just want to thank you for joining me today. Make sure to leave a review and tell me what your thoughts are in the comments.